Hello, I'm Adriana Rosati, and this is Session Movie Pulse Interviews. Today I'm here with director Isher Sahota and producer Jon Tarcy, who are at the New York Asian Film Festival with their film The Effects of Lime. So good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
I really enjoy your films, and good luck. You having the North American premiere a bit later today. After
Yeah,
the
exactly. Very excited to see how New York audiences respond to it.
Okay. Okay, so can you talk a bit about the idea for this film? Did you come across the script, or did you participate on the writing process, or?
Yeah, so I was working on a TV show. Actually, I direct television in the UK, and James Hay was actually editing the show, and we were discussing and swapping scripts, and he gave me this script, and I was just so thrilled to read a script about a British Asian family that had nothing to do with their ethnicity, and was just a universal story about love, family, and loss. And I just really connected with it. And but we did develop the script a lot. We developed it for about 18 months, did read-throughs, workshopped it, and we did develop it and changed it quite a bit through that process. But yeah, it was a script that I came across and worked with the writer on.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. And what I was just saying about saying is that watching The Effect of Lines, what I saw is a drama comedy with a very British dark comedy flavor, more than Asian, and the protagonists are all Asian, but it's like by chance, by pure chance. So so I guess that this is this is your intent. The story
exactly.
wasn't like ethnicity driven, but just a story of a family.
Exactly. I think that was really thrilling for me. It's a film that I wish I had growing up, and yeah, it's just amazing that in 2023 this is a new thing. Really, it's not. I do love British Asian cinema, and I think there's been some brilliant films, and TV shows in the past. But this is, I think, is a new representation of British Asian families on screen, and I think people are really responding to it as we've done our screenings in the UK and Europe, and we'll find out how North American audiences kind of respond to it today. I think also what you were saying, it's kind of got a unique tone because it's that combination of comedy and drama. And I hope that kind of, I hope the film it's entertaining, but it's also got a kind of unexpected heart. And, I hope audiences kind of get it and are moved by it and entertained by it tonight.
Okay. And do you? But I think that definitely there's been in the recent years some shift towards diverse and more authentic representation of South Asian community in British cinema. Do you think they're still based on some stereotypes and things like that? And also, what do you think of the other industry? I mean, because the UK has got such a big diaspora of South Asian. Sorry, it's like a different place.
Yes, no, exactly. I think that change is happening in the industry and more representation is happening. However, we I work in film and television. I pitch to executives and the people who kind of are the gatekeepers of our industry in the UK, and it's still a challenge. It's still a massive challenge, and the fact that that this is new, the fact that this is still a new representation speaks volumes. And I think that Jon and I approached this in a very kind of unique way. We empowered ourselves as filmmakers, and we did this. We raised a micro budget. We shot it in just 12 days, and we got a cast and crew that were really coming on board, not for the financials, but for the passion to tell the story and to tell it with us. And I think that all the actors, for example, came on board because they don't get offered stuff like this, and the industry doesn't provide those roles for them. So they were really delighted to come on board and kind of and tell the story with us. So yeah, I think we actually did look at a lot of kind of American filmmakers like Mark Duplass, the Duplass brothers. They had a great speech at South by Southwest a few years ago called "The Cavalry Isn't Coming," and I think John and I really responded to that and wanted to empower ourselves as filmmakers and go out and tell our story on our terms. And yeah, that's what we've been able to do.
Yeah, okay. And is so the cast obviously is always very important in a film, but I think that in this film the cast is the statement of the film because of this all Asian cast playing a family story, and so can you talk a bit more about the casting? How did you find your protagonist, and if you had someone in mind already, or if you went through the casting process?
Well, there's a casting director that we've been working with for a while on some of our projects called Claudia Blunt, who's a fantastic casting director in London. And we took her the script, and basically our aim was, I think, as you said, obviously the casting is a statement. We wanted this kind of fantastic South Asian ensemble as the kind of front of the piece, and so yeah, we basically had a lot of conversations with Claudia about how we could assemble that. We started with Ace Batty, who plays Naveen. He was the character and the actor that we started with, and luckily he was happy to come on board and say yes, and really from that point onwards we were then slotting in the different roles. I guess the other kind of person who isn't South Asian to add to that is Mark Williams of obviously the Harry Potter franchise and many other things, who Isher had actually worked with previously on a project, and you managed to convince Mark that this would be a fun thing for him to do for a few days as well.
Yeah, no, he's great.
In which project did he work with you?
I directed a show for the BBC called Father Brown, in which Mark Williams plays a priest that solves murders, and we got on very well. And he said to me on the last day of filming, Adriana, he said to me, we were discussing filmmaking, telling me stories about Harry Potter and Shakespeare in Love and all these films he's been in. And he said, Isher, on the last day of filming, he said, Isher, if you need anyone, an actor ever, just give me a call. And in my head, I was like, you just said that to the wrong person because I'm going to call you. And to be fair to him, 8 months later, I said, Mark, please come. Please come and play Brian. And he said he accepted it. His only condition was, he said, can Brian be from Birmingham? And I said, yes, he can be from Birmingham because Mark's from Birmingham. Yeah, he likes that kind of Midlands representation. So it was good. It worked out really, really well. And I think he's very brilliant in the film.
Yeah, he's brilliant. Yeah. Okay, and let me see. You mentioned about the filming. There was you did it in sort of record time in 12 days. Was it challenging? What was the most challenging part of it?
Yeah, I guess the methodology in shooting it in 12 days is kind of tied into what we were talking about earlier, about like we knew we wanted to do this on our own terms. We did it on a micro budget, and it was a relatively straightforward shoot, we thought, in some ways, because it's mainly one location. It's mainly this house. And I've got a background in fast television, and I thought, okay, maybe we can pull this off. Jon constantly wanted reassurances that we would complete the shooting in 12 days. And I said to Jon, I don't know really, because I've never really shot this much. We had one day, for example, that was 18 pages, which is a lot. But our whole kind of approach with the methodology with the camera, kind of loose handheld style, it's more of a kind of organic naturalism kind of visual kind of approach, and it's very good for actors because they don't have to kind of hit precise marks, and we can kind of be a bit more organic with the camera. And also the actors were fantastic. We did have 4 days or 3 or 4 days of rehearsals before, and they were just word perfect, so prepped, and we'd basically blocked all the scenes before we were shooting, so we kind of knew what we were doing. and also the crew were fantastic. You know,
I was gonna say, obviously, that Isha was saying the actors came aboard the project because they, their motivation to play roles that, that maybe they hadn't received. But yeah, the crew were massively excited by the prospect of this. We managed to find some really amazing heads of department and collaborators. I mean, I could mention our co-producer Greg Schroeder, our director of photography Adam Singodia, art director Ida Fly, costume designer Jonathan Lippman. All these people have given so much to facilitate the fact that this project was shot on such a short amount of time. And I think, were this not something that people were also doing, with a big kind of drive to get it completed in that time, I think it would have fallen apart. But we were really lucky in that sense.
You make it sound even a bit of fun. It was.
We were a family. Yeah. I think everyone really came on board for the right reasons, because they wanted to tell this story. No one signed on to this to become a millionaire. It was for the passion, and I think that everyone just went above and beyond, and they were so prepped. People often ask us, "Oh, it was 12 days. Was that really challenging?" And to be honest, the truth is the shoot was pretty smooth. Because we were so prepared, because we knew what we were doing was so kind of crazy to try and do. So we were just incredibly focused and prepared, and everyone, we knew every shot and every camera position, way in advance. So it was it went well.
Yeah.
and did you manage to leave a bit of space to the improvisation to the actor? Because if you have short time, you have to be very organized. So maybe, I don't know if you have to...
It's interesting. Not that much, probably, is what I would say, because we really worked on the script, and then we trusted the script in the process. Because when you're shooting, it's kind of like the heat of the battle. But we really anchored ourselves to the script, and we trusted the script. I mean, not to the actors did amazing bits of kind of physical acting
as well.
And they did have brilliant ideas, and with physical acting and kind of moments that were not scripted. Ace and Naveen Chowdhury in particular, I think, is playing Uncle Harv, very, very funny, and he just did quite a few things that were very good and unexpected. So and I tried to make that kind of environment where it's collaborative with the actors, and it is, we want their ideas, and that did come through.
Okay.
But I was going to add to that, we also didn't have the luxury of, other films where they just kind of roll the camera for hours and, do endless takes and it was improvisation. Occasionally, Naveen Chowdhury, as you said, did do quite a bit of improvising, but it was within the story and the script of what was already kind of there. So, we had to kind of play smart in that sense.
Yeah.
Okay. And talking about the script, a couple of questions I had in mind. First of all, I was very happily surprised to notice that the film has some very good, very great female characters, and also the one important theme is the female desire, sexual desire, something that is not very usually dealt with in films. And also there is the lovely story, the lovely bond between father and daughter. I was very happy of this.
Absolutely. I think I was the same. When I read the script, I was like, I've never seen a South Asian woman of appetite. Sangeeta has, she drinks, she smokes, she has sex, and I think that's great. And I think Layla Ruas, who came on board to play her, just did it so bravely and added a lot of depth and a lot of kind of heart to it, and I think it's fantastic, and that's a representation that we really wanted, and Layla was really passionate to tell. And also, yes, you're talking about Ace and Simran's characters, Naveen and Simran, played by Lauren Patel. that really, I think, is their relationship is the heart of the film. I think, Adriana, I think
Right,
that.
that girl. I found her very good.
Thank you. And I think that really is the emotional heart of the story, because, you know, Naveen's story is about a man who represses his desires and his emotions for decades because he thinks it's the right thing to do for his family, but he's stuck in this vortex of lies and familial duty and all this stuff. And it's his daughter Simran who kind of, you know, on this day finds out some truths that are obviously very upsetting and shocking for her, but she is able to break away and leave that and kind of go and, you know, goes to Europe at the end of the film, spoiler alert, and then, you know, and goes on her journey and breaks out of that cycle. So I think it's a hopeful film, but that I think that, you know, for me, I always think the scene between Ace and Lauren in the Chinese restaurant is really the emotional heart of the film. And yeah, I love that relationship between them.
Yeah. And also it's in that scene as well. Priya is a very modern, different character, like the mother-in-law.
Exactly, and you know, the last time, you know,
Before.
she played the mother. Shaheen Khan played the mother in Bend It Like Beckham, and you know, I think that film's great and was very important for British South Asian kind of representation on screen. But you couldn't get further from that character to this character, which is Priya in The Effects of Lying, and I think that Shaheen really relished that, and really, you know, that's one of the main reasons she wanted to come on board, because she just thought, you know, Priya has got this mix of, you know, South Asian values, but also is modern, and really, you know, worked with Jonathan to get her costume. You know, she's not in a kind of typical kind of sari or whatever. She's very, very kind of elegantly dressed. Yeah, I love that.
I was going to say as well, because, you know, for example, talking about Shaheen being in, you know, having been in Bend It Like Beckham and many other things, same as all of the cast. One of the other things that was amazing for us and also really helpful for us was the majority of the cast had worked with each other on different projects before this multiple times, so they all came with a familiarity to it, which I think you can see when you watch the film. You know, there is a genuine kind of closeness between them, which I don't think you would have got if the actors were meeting each other for the first time and having 12 days getting to know each other.
Yeah, these actors are like British Asian acting royalty. You know, Shaheen and Ace have been, you know, they first acted together like 30 years ago. You know, like they've had long careers of doing a lot of stuff, but they've never had roles like this, which is, you know, how we got them on board.
Okay. And another thing about the story that struck me is there is a very dramatic event in mid-film. I don't want to spoil, but there is something quite shocking that, you know, that very rarely is featured in a comedy. So you have some sort of doubts, including that part of the story, or you were?
Are you talking about Suresh's character, the Ace's father?
Yeah,
the grandfather. Yes, I think so. You know, but you know what? This is all to do with the tone of the film, Adriana. Like, you know, and this is how we approached it with the actors. We didn't play it as a comedy. The script is obviously funny when we were reading it, but it's not funny for the actors, for the characters. Sorry, it's not funny for the characters. And we played the truth of it. We tried to play the truth of every scene. And, you know, there are many issues that are touched upon, you know, in this film, such as, you know, parenthood, adoption, you know, eating disorders, and, you know, this theme of dementia and elderly parents who are in homes and things like that. And you know, in the screenings that we've had, you know, in London, you know, at the BFI, and we just had our international premiere at Galway Film Festival before this. You can really feel the audience go along with the journey of this family, and there are laughs and there are tears and there are gasps. You know, at that scene in particular, they were shocking. And, you know, it's supposed to be shocking. You know, you're supposed to not see it coming, and you think that the film's not going to go there, but it does. And that's how I felt when I read it. And I was like, wow, you know, that is really brave. And that is something, for example, that would get a big no from a film or TV development person. And that's what, you know, we wanted to do. That I think it's a really really important aspect of the story.
Yeah. Okay. And because you did this film with a story that is totally not ethnicity bound. Is there any little thing Asian that you that is left in the story? Something, even a tiny. What was it, do you think is an Asian flavor in the story, if there is any or not?
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good question, because I think that you know, in other South Asian representation, it's always to do with food or costume or things like that, which are obviously elements of being South Asian. But I loved the fact that this film didn't have any of that. It didn't have any of those cliches and didn't have any of those things. However, this family is specifically British Asian, but it's there in the background. It's not driving the story. But so, for example, when there is the scene between Ace and Shaheen, and they're talking about Sangeeta's past. They're talking about expectations on Sangeeta as a British Asian woman in that context, and certain pressures on her in terms of the society and the familial expectation and expectations on her as a woman. But it's not, it's there as part of the story, but it's not driving the story. So I think that it is there. And Shaheen also has that line. It's like this is a suburban Mahabharata. It is like a kind of suburban Indian epic in a few ways, and her kind of mysticism and stuff is there. So there are themes. I think there are British Asian themes, and there are Indian and Punjabi themes in it, if you kind of look for it. And James, the writer himself, is married to a Punjabi woman and has great insights. That's why I think he was able to write it very convincingly, because he's at once British, himself as a white man from the Midlands, from Birmingham, and he also has a kind of perspective on the Punjabi community, via his wife. So it's I think that was really exciting.
Okay. And do you want to tell me a bit what's happened to the film once you finish filming? I mean, I know there's been, I read that there's been acquired by ITVX, the streaming platform service, and is there any theatrical release planned for UK or abroad?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's been brilliant since we completed it. Showed it to quite a few people, and ITVX were massively excited about the film, which has been amazing, and really wanted to take it on. And so they have. So in the UK, it's now available on ITVX, so anyone can watch it. If you've got internet in the UK, you can watch it there. In terms of theatrical in the UK, well, we had a special preview screening at NFT1, the main screen at the BFI, just before the ITVX release, and I have several other screenings kind of planned. And then internationally, our sales agent is currently having discussions with a few international distributors, and hopefully more news on that front in due course. I think at the moment what we're really keen to do is take the film to various festivals. Obviously had the international premiere in Galway, massively a brilliant festival, and obviously here in New York Asian Film Festival as well, for our North American premiere, and we're hoping for a few more selections over the coming months that we've been discussing with people, and then who knows. I think the thing that we feel about it, and hopefully you and the audience agrees, that it's not it's a film that I think should be seen outside of the UK, and hopefully that will translate in where it gets distributed to.
Yeah, and to say, we wanted theatrical, but it's very, very difficult for independent films in the UK at the moment. But I think that one of our main principles of kind of making this film was it's an audience film, it's an audience facing film, and we wanted to reach audiences. And so actually an independent micro budget South Asian film getting on ITVX as a platform is fantastic, and it gets us, it completes that mission. It gets us to audiences. Everyone with internet access in the UK can watch this film for free. These festivals are so important for us to get to an international audience. So hopefully we can do that.
I should at this point do a little plug to say if any viewers want to keep up with whether the film is being distributed in their country or not, we've got a social media account on Instagram and Twitter, which is at TEOL movie. Maybe Adriana, you can add it to the description.
I will do, I promise. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, and what about you two? Plans for the future? You doing something already?
And I never want to work with Jon again after this. It's been terrible. No, we've got many projects.
We've got several projects in development. I mean, we've been selected by Film London for their new talent strand and also for a film market, a great film market in India, for a project we've got called Punishment, that is based on a short story by the Indian author Rabindranath Tagore. So we're developing that. We have a couple of other projects too. So yeah, I mean, hopefully more to come from us in the future, I guess.
In the near future, hopefully.
In the near future, yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so I think that for me that's it. I'm happy with this, and
Brilliant.
thank you for being with me today. This was Isher Movie Pulse, and bye bye.
Thanks so much.
Brilliant.
See you later.
Thank you very much,
Bye-bye.
Adriana.